Jake Martinez wiped the sweat from his forehead as he crawled through the narrow maintenance tunnel. The air was thick and hot inside the derelict alien ship. Water dripped from broken pipes above his head, making the metal floor slippery under his boots. He had been working for 3 hours straight, checking every system in the lower decks of the Velrani vessel. The Starlight Runner had found this ship drifting in space 2 days ago. Captain Lisa Brooks decided to salvage what they could before reporting the find to the authorities. Jake's job was to strip out any useful parts and technology. The Velrani were known for their advanced engineering, so even broken pieces could be worth a fortune. He stopped at a junction and checked his scanner. Strange readings came from the flooded compartment ahead. The water was knee-deep and black as oil. Jake grimaced. He hated working in flooded areas, but the scanner showed valuable power cells in that section. As he waded into the dark water, something caught his attention. A soft sound, almost like crying, echoed from the far corner of the room. Jake froze and listened carefully. There it was again, weak and desperate. He pulled out his flashlight and swept the beam across the flooded compartment. Broken machinery and floating debris filled the space. The sound came again, fainter this time. Jake followed the beam of light until it fell on a small cage partially submerged in the rising water. Inside the cage was the strangest creature Jake had ever seen. It looked like a cat, but larger, with pure white fur that seemed to glow in the flashlight beam. Its eyes were bright blue like crystals, and they stared at Jake with intelligence that made his breath catch. The creature was barely keeping its head above water, its small paws gripping the bars of the cage. Jake's heart raced. This was clearly a Velrani, but unlike any he had seen before. Most Velrani had dark fur with stripes or spots. This one was completely white like fresh snow. It was also much smaller than adult Velrani, probably just a child. The water level was rising. In a few minutes the creature would drown. Jake didn't hesitate. He splashed through the water to the cage. The lock was simple, designed to keep something in rather than keep rescuers out. He twisted the mechanism and the door swung open. The small Velrani collapsed into his arms, its body cold and shaking. "Easy there, little one," Jake whispered, though he knew the creature probably couldn't understand English. "I've got you." He carried the small alien back through the tunnel to the Starlight Runner. The creature was barely breathing, its white fur soaked and matted. Jake went straight to the medical bay where Dr. Alex Chen was cataloging supplies. "Alex, I need help," Jake called out as he burst through the door. Dr. Chen looked up and nearly dropped his tablet. "Jake, what is that?" "Velrani child. Found it drowning in a cage. It's barely alive." Dr. Chen moved quickly, clearing a space on the examination table. "Put it here. Careful with the head." Jake laid the creature down gently. Up close, he could see how young it was. Its features were soft and rounded, clearly not fully grown. The white fur was unusual but beautiful, catching the light like silk. "I've never seen an albino Velrani before," Dr. Chen said as he began checking vital signs. "The genetic records show they're extremely rare." "Is that why it was caged?" Jake asked. "Because it's different?" Dr. Chen frowned. "Possibly. Some species have cultural taboos against genetic variations. The Velrani are known for their strict social codes. The creature's breathing was shallow and irregular." Dr. Chen worked quickly, adjusting equipment for the alien physiology. Jake watched nervously as the doctor inserted tubes and attached monitoring devices. "Will it live?" Jake asked. "Too early to tell. The lungs are full of fluid, and there's some hypothermia. But it's young and might be stronger than it looks." Captain Brooks entered the medical bay, her expression stern. "Jake, what's this I hear about you bringing an alien aboard without clearance?" "Captain, I found it drowning." "I couldn't just leave it to die." Brooks looked at the small creature on the table. Her expression softened slightly, but her voice remained firm. "You know the protocols, Jake. Unknown alien species require quarantine procedures. We don't know what diseases it might carry. It's just a child, Captain. A Velrani child. Do you have any idea what kind of diplomatic incident this could cause? The Velrani Empire doesn't take kindly to interference in their affairs." Dr. Chen looked up from his work. "Captain, with respect, this creature was abandoned to die. That suggests it wasn't valued by its own people. I doubt they'll miss it." "That's not the point," Brooks replied. "The point is we're in Velrani space and we just took one of their citizens without permission." The creature stirred slightly on the table, making a soft sound. Jake moved closer, and its crystal blue eyes opened, focusing on his face. For a moment, they stared at each other. Jake felt something strange, like a gentle touch in his mind. The creature wasn't just looking at him, it was seeing him, understanding him. "It's scared," Jake said quietly. "How do you know that?" Dr. Chen asked. Jake couldn't explain it. He just knew. The fear was there, along with confusion and a deep sadness that seemed too heavy for such a small creature to carry. "Captain," Jake said, turning to Brooks. "Look at it. Really look. This isn't some dangerous alien. It's a child that someone threw away because it looks different. Doesn't that mean something to you?" Brooks studied the creature for a long moment. Its white fur rose and fell with each labored breath. Its eyes, though weak, held an intelligence that was unmistakably aware. 24 hours, she said finally. "You can keep it stable for 24 hours while we figure out what to do. But Jake, if it dies, that's not on us. And if it lives, we might have to give it back to the Velrani whether we like it or not." Jake nodded, though he had no intention of letting that happen. Something about this creature called to him. Maybe it was the way it had looked at him with such trust despite being terrified. Maybe it was the knowledge that its own people had left it to die simply because it was different. Dr. Chen continued working through the night. Jake stayed nearby, watching the monitors and talking softly to the creature, even though it couldn't understand his words. Slowly, its breathing became stronger and more regular. The hypothermia faded as warming blankets brought its body temperature back to normal. By morning, the creature was alert enough to sit up. It studied Jake with those remarkable blue eyes, then made a sound that was almost like purring. Jake smiled and reached out slowly. The creature didn't pull away when he gently stroked its white fur. "I think you're going to be okay," Jake whispered. "I won't let anything happen to you." He didn't know it then, but those words would change everything. The small white creature he had saved from drowning would soon become the key to discoveries that would shake the foundations of multiple civilizations and ignite flames that would burn across the galaxy. 3 weeks had passed since Jake found the small white creature in the flooded ship. He had set up a comfortable space for her in his workshop, using spare blankets and cushions to make a bed near his workbench. Jake had started calling her Luna because of her moon-white fur, and somehow she seemed to understand that this was her name. Luna was getting stronger every day. Dr. Chen checked on her regularly and was amazed by how quickly she healed. Her appetite had returned, and she enjoyed the fish and meat from the ship's food stores. But what surprised everyone most was how smart she was. Jake first noticed it when he was working on a broken pump. He had been struggling with the problem for hours, trying different approaches. Luna watched from her bed, her blue eyes following his every move. When Jake paused to think, Luna made a soft chirping sound and pointed with one small paw at a specific part of the machine. Jake looked where she was pointing and saw a loose connection he had missed. When he tightened it, the pump started working perfectly. "Did you just help me fix that?" Jake asked, staring at Luna in wonder. Luna tilted her head and made the purring sound that Jake had learned meant she was happy. From that day on, she became his unofficial assistant. She could spot problems that Jake's human eyes missed and seemed to understand how machines worked in ways that amazed him. Word spread quickly through the ship about Luna's abilities. Paul Rodriguez, the chief engineer, came to see for himself. He brought a complex circuit board that had been giving him trouble for weeks. "If this little one is as smart as you say, let's see what she can do with this," Paul said, setting the board on Jake's workbench. Luna approached the circuit board carefully, sniffing at it with her small black nose. Then she placed one paw on a specific component and looked up at Paul with those bright blue eyes. Paul checked the component and found it was completely burned out, hidden under other parts where he couldn't see the damage. "That's impossible," he muttered. "How did she know?" Jake was beginning to understand that Luna's intelligence went far beyond normal animal instincts. She seemed to sense things about machines and electronics that even experienced engineers missed. But more than that, she was trying to communicate with them. The breakthrough came when Mia Santos, the communications officer, visited Jake's workshop. Luna had been making different sounds, chirps, purrs, and melodic trills that almost sounded like singing. Mia listened carefully, her head tilted in concentration. "Jake, I think she's trying to talk to us," Mia said. "These sounds have patterns like a language." "You really think so?" "I'm sure of it. Listen." Mia pointed to a wrench on the workbench. Luna made a specific chirping sound. Then Mia pointed to a screwdriver, and Luna made a different sound entirely. She has different calls for different tools. Jake tested this theory over the next few days. Luna did indeed have specific sounds for different objects, people, and even emotions. When she was hungry, she made a low trilling sound. When she was curious about something, she chirped in short bursts. When she was content, she purred like an earth cat, but with musical notes that rose and fell. But the most amazing discovery happened one evening when Jake was alone in the workshop. He was feeling sad, thinking about his family back on Earth and wondering if he would ever see them again. Luna approached him and placed her small paw on his hand. Suddenly, Jake felt a warm sensation in his mind, like gentle fingers touching his thoughts. Images flashed through his head. Not his own memories, but Luna's. He saw flashes of her past. A large ship with many Velrani, all with dark fur and cruel faces. He saw herself as an even smaller child, being mocked and pushed away by others. He felt her confusion and pain when her own family turned their backs on her. He experienced her terror as she was placed in the cage and left to drown. Jake gasped and pulled his hand away. Luna looked at him with sad eyes as if she had just shared her deepest secrets with him. "You can read minds," Jake whispered. "You can share thoughts." Luna made a soft sound that seemed to confirm his words. Then she placed her paw on his hand again, but this time the sensation was different. Instead of her memories, Jake felt warmth, gratitude, and something that could only be described as love. Luna was telling him, in the only way she could, that he had saved more than just her life. He had given her hope. Captain Brooks was not happy when Jake reported these developments. She called a meeting in the conference room with all the senior staff. "This changes everything," Brooks said, pacing in front of the main screen. "If this creature is telepathic, it could be a security risk. It might be reading our thoughts, learning our secrets." "Captain, she's not a spy," Jake protested. "She's just a child trying to communicate." Dr. Chen pulled up data on his tablet. "I've been researching Velrani biology. According to the scientific records, telepathic abilities were once common in their species. But they disappeared thousands of years ago. Luna might be a genetic throwback to an earlier evolutionary stage. That could explain why she was abandoned," Mia added. "If the modern Velrani have cultural taboos against telepathy, they might see her abilities as dangerous or cursed." Paul nodded in agreement. "It makes sense. She can interface with our machines in ways we don't understand. Maybe that's what they're afraid of." Brooks stopped pacing and looked directly at Jake. "Martinez, I want you to be very careful around that creature. We don't know the full extent of her abilities, and we can't risk her accessing classified information." "Her name is Luna," Jake said firmly, "and she's not a threat. She's trying to help us. That may be true, but we can't take chances. I'm implementing new protocols. No one goes near Luna without authorization, and all interactions must be monitored." Jake felt angry, but he kept his voice calm. "Captain, she trusts us. If we start treating her like a prisoner, we'll lose that trust, and we'll lose the chance to learn from her." "Learn what exactly? I don't know yet." But Paul was right. She can do things with machines that we can't explain. What if her abilities could help us understand technology in completely new ways? What if she could help us build better ships, better engines, better everything? Brooks considered this for a moment. 24 hours, she said finally. "I'll give you 24 more hours to show me something concrete. If Luna can prove she's valuable to this ship and crew, I'll consider extending her stay. But if not, we're turning her over to the next Velrani patrol we encounter." Jake's heart sank, but he nodded. He had one day to prove that Luna was worth the risk. That night, Jake worked late in his workshop while Luna watched from her bed. He was trying to repair a damaged navigation computer that had been giving them problems for months. The circuits were so complex that even Paul had given up on it. Luna approached the workbench and studied the computer carefully. She made several different sounds, almost like she was analyzing the problem. Then she placed both paws on the device and closed her eyes. Jake felt the now familiar touch in his mind, but this time, it was different. Instead of emotions or memories, Luna was sharing knowledge. He suddenly understood things about the computer that he had never learned in engineering school. He could see the flow of electricity through the circuits, feel the patterns of data moving through the processors. Working together, guided by Luna's telepathic insights, Jake repaired the navigation computer in less than an hour. When they turned it on, it worked better than it ever had before. Jake smiled and gently stroked Luna's white fur. "Tomorrow, we're going to show the captain what we can do together. he said. Luna purred and settled down for the night, curled up next to Jake's chair. She had found more than just safety aboard the Starlight Runner. She had found someone who saw her not as a freak or a curse, but as a friend with incredible gifts. Neither Jake nor Luna knew that their bonding had already been detected by long-range Velrani sensors. Deep in space, War Commander Thaxavel received the report and felt his blood turn cold. His sister's cursed offspring was still alive, and worse, it was among humans who seemed to value its forbidden abilities. The hunt was about to begin. Captain Brooks stared at the navigation computer in amazement. The device that had been nothing but trouble for months was now running perfectly, displaying star charts with crystal-clear precision. Jake and Luna had demonstrated their teamwork for the entire senior staff, and the results were undeniable. "How is this possible?" Brooks asked, running her fingers over the smooth functioning controls. "Luna can sense the flow of electricity and data," Jake explained. "She shows me things I can't see on my own. Together, we can fix problems that would normally take weeks to solve." Dr. Chen was taking readings from Luna with a handheld scanner. "Her brain activity is off the charts during these sessions. The telepathic centers are creating electromagnetic fields that actually interface with our electronic systems. It's like she's talking to the machines," Paul added. "I've never seen anything like it." Brooks nodded slowly. "All right, Martinez. You've convinced me. Luna can stay, at least for now. But we need to keep this quiet. If word gets out that we're harboring a telepathic Velrani, it could cause serious problems." As if summoned by her words, Mia's voice crackled over the intercom. "Captain, to the bridge immediately. We have incoming ships." The command crew rushed to the bridge with Jake carrying Luna in his arms. The main screen showed 3 large Velrani warships approaching at high speed. Their dark hulls bristled with weapons, and their scanning beams were already probing the Starlight Runner. "Distance?" Brooks asked as she took her position in the captain's chair. 2 million kilometers and closing fast," reported Lieutenant Danny Kim from the navigation station. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Put them through." The screen flickered and showed the bridge of the lead Velrani ship. The creature standing at the center was massive, even by Velrani standards. His dark fur was marked with scars from old battles, and his yellow eyes burned with cold fury. Gold markings on his uniform indicated high rank. "Human vessel, I am War Commander Thaxavel of the Velrani Imperial Fleet. You will prepare to be boarded immediately." Brooks straightened in her chair. "War Commander? This is Captain Lisa Brooks of the merchant vessel Starlight Runner. We are operating under salvage rights in this sector. What is the nature of your business with us?" "You have something that belongs to me, human. Something that should have died long ago." Jake felt Luna tremble in his arms. Her telepathic touch reached his mind, and he suddenly understood the connection. Images flashed through his thoughts. A large male Velrani with the same scarred face and cold eyes. Luna's uncle. The one who had condemned her to death. "I don't know what you're talking about, War Commander," Brooks replied, though Jake could see the tension in her shoulders. Thaxavel's lips pulled back, showing sharp fangs. "Do not lie to me, human. Our sensors have detected the genetic signature of the abomination. The white curse that my family cast out to die. You will return it to me, or I will take it by force." Brooks looked back at Jake, who shook his head firmly. "War Commander, we found no living beings on the derelict vessel we salvaged. Only machinery and spare parts. Your lies will not protect you." Thaxavel made a gesture, and the other ships moved to surround the Starlight Runner. "I am authorized to search your vessel. Lower your shields and prepare for boarding." "Negative, War Commander. We are in neutral space, and you have no authority to board a human ship without cause." Thaxavel's expression darkened. "The creature you harbor is not just genetically defective. It carries abilities that my people consider dangerous and forbidden. Its telepathic powers make it a threat to any civilized species." Jake felt anger building in his chest. "She's not a threat. She's just a child." Brooks shot him a warning look, but it was too late. Thaxavel had heard. "So you admit you have the abomination. Human, you do not understand what you are protecting. The White Ones are cursed. They bring disaster wherever they go. Their mind powers corrupt technology and spread chaos." Dr. Chen stepped forward. "War Commander, if I may ask, what scientific evidence supports these beliefs?" "Our observations suggest that Luna's abilities are beneficial, not harmful." "Luna?" Thaxavel's voice was filled with disgust. "You have named the curse bearer? You are even more foolish than I thought. That creature's very existence violates the natural order. It was cast out according to our laws and traditions. Its death was meant to prevent calamity from befalling our people. Your laws don't apply to humans, Brooks said firmly. And we don't abandon children to die because they're different. Then you will die with it. The Velrani ships powered up their weapons. The Starlight Runner's shields flared to life automatically. But Jake knew they couldn't withstand a prolonged attack from 3 warships. Luna made a soft sound in Jake's arms, and he felt her fear through their telepathic connection. But mixed with the fear was something else, determination. Images flashed through his mind. The ship's engine room, power conduits, and energy flows that Luna could see but he couldn't understand. "Captain," Jake said urgently, "Luna wants to help." "She can do something with the engines." "Absolutely not," Brooks replied. "I won't risk her life, and I won't risk this ship on an untested idea." The first energy blasts struck their shields, causing the ship to shake violently. Alarms began blaring throughout the bridge. "Shields down to 80%, Danny reported. "At this rate, we won't last 10 minutes. Paul's voice came over the intercom from the engine room. "Captain, we need more power to the shields, but the engines are already at maximum output." Luna squirmed in Jake's arms and made urgent chirping sounds. The telepathic touch became stronger, more insistent. Jake saw flashes of the ship's power systems, but enhanced somehow, running at levels that should be impossible. "She can boost our engine output," Jake said. "I don't know how, but she's showing me ways to channel power that our engineers never discovered." Another blast shook the ship. The lights flickered, and Jake heard the shields groaning under the assault. Brooks looked at Jake for a long moment, then at Luna. The small white creature looked back at her with those crystal blue eyes, and for just an instant, Brooks felt a touch of telepathic contact. Luna was afraid, but she was also brave. She wanted to protect the humans who had saved her. "Do it," Brooks said. Jake ran toward the engine room with Luna in his arms. The ship shook around them as they navigated the corridors. Behind them, they could hear the sounds of battle as the crew fought to keep the shields up. In the engine room, Paul and his team were working frantically to maintain power levels. "Jake, what are you doing here?" Paul shouted over the noise of straining machinery. "Luna can help us. She knows how to increase engine output." Paul looked skeptical, but another blast that nearly knocked him off his feet changed his mind. "Fine. Whatever she can do, we need it now." Jake set Luna down near the main power coupling. She approached the massive conduit carefully, her small paws glowing with a faint blue light. When she touched the coupling, sparks flew, but instead of damaging the system, the sparks seemed to enhance it. Jake felt Luna's consciousness merge with his understanding of human engineering. Together they could see energy patterns that no human had ever perceived. Power flowed through the ship in new ways, following paths that Luna's telepathic abilities opened up. The engine output readings climbed beyond what should have been possible. The shields strengthened, and the ship's weapons came online with increased power. On the bridge, Brooks watched in amazement as their tactical situation improved dramatically. "Danny, get us out of here. Maximum speed." The Starlight Runner shot forward with acceleration that pressed everyone against their seats. The Velrani ships, caught off guard by the sudden burst of speed, fell behind quickly. But Jake and Luna's modifications had done more than just boost their engines. Unknown to anyone aboard, the energy signatures they had created were unlike anything seen before in the galaxy. The cosmic flames that Luna had ignited through her partnership with human technology sent signals across multiple star systems. In distant space stations and research facilities, scientists detected the unusual energy patterns and began investigating. Some saw them as a breakthrough in power generation. Others recognized them as something far more significant, the first sign that biological, consciousness, and artificial systems could work together in ways that transcended both. Thaxvel watched the human ship disappear with a mixture of rage and fear. The curse-bearer had not only survived but had grown stronger. Worse, it was learning to use its forbidden powers with human technology. This was exactly what the ancient warnings had predicted. He opened a communication channel to Velrani Command. "This is War Commander Thaxvel. The White Curse has been confirmed. It is alive and working with humans. I am declaring a code black emergency. All available ships are to join the hunt immediately." As his fleet regrouped to continue the pursuit, Thaxvel stared at the star field where the human ship had vanished. The abomination had escaped this time, but he would not give up. His honor, his family's reputation, and the safety of the entire Velrani Empire depended on destroying the creature before its powers could spread further. The hunt had only just begun. The Starlight Runner had been running for 3 days, jumping from system to system with Velrani hunting fleets close behind. Jake barely left the engine room, working with Luna to maintain the enhanced power output that kept them ahead of their pursuers. But the strain was showing on both of them. Luna had grown noticeably thinner, her white fur losing some of its bright luster. The constant use of her telepathic abilities was draining her energy faster than she could recover. Jake wasn't in much better shape, surviving on coffee and energy bars while monitoring the complex energy patterns that Luna showed him. Dr. Chen visited the engine room to check on them both. Jake, you need rest. And Luna needs proper food and sleep. You can't keep this up forever. We don't have a choice, Jake replied, adjusting a power coupling that Luna had indicated with a weak chirp. The moment we stop enhancing the engines, they'll catch us. Captain Brooks arrived as Dr. Chen was taking readings from Luna. Her expression was grim. We have a problem. Long-range sensors show at least 12 Velrani ships converging on our position. They're not just hunting us anymore, they're hurting us. Hurting us where? Jake asked. Into the Nexus sector. It's a dead zone. No stations, no colonies, and no way out except the way we came in. Jake felt Luna's distress through their mental connection. She was showing him images of Velrani battle formations, tactics she remembered from her time aboard their ships. They weren't just trying to capture her anymore. They were planning to destroy the entire Starlight Runner to make sure her abilities could never be used again. How long until we reach the dead zone? Jake asked. 6 hours at current speed, Brooks replied. Unless you and Luna can work another miracle. Luna struggled to her feet and moved to the main engine console. Her paws glowed with that familiar blue light, but the glow was weaker than before. She chirped softly at Jake, and he felt her exhaustion mixing with determination. She wants to try something different, Jake said. Something bigger than what we've done before. Jake, she's already pushed herself too hard, Dr. Chen protested. Any more strain could be dangerous, but Luna was already placing her paws on the console. This time, instead of just enhancing the existing systems, Jake felt her consciousness reaching deeper into the ship's structure. She was connecting with circuits and conduits throughout the entire vessel, creating a network that Jake had never imagined possible. The sensation was overwhelming. Through Luna's telepathic link, Jake could feel every system on the ship as if it were part of his own body. The engines weren't just machines anymore. They were extensions of Luna's will, powered by her understanding of forces that human science barely recognized. Jake, what's happening? Paul called out as readings across all his monitors began climbing beyond safe levels. I'm not sure, Jake replied, though that wasn't entirely true. He could sense what Luna was trying to do, and it terrified him. She wasn't just boosting their engines, she was merging her consciousness with the ship itself. The Starlight Runner began to change. The hull resonated with new frequencies, and the energy flowing through the power conduits took on patterns that seemed almost alive. Luna's telepathic abilities, amplified by human technology, were creating something that neither species had ever achieved alone. On the bridge, Brooks watched in amazement as their speed increased far beyond anything the ship had been designed for. We're approaching light speed, Danny reported in disbelief. That's impossible for a ship this size, but they weren't just moving faster. The space around the Starlight Runner began to shimmer and bend. Reality itself seemed to be responding to Luna's enhanced abilities. In the engine room, Jake realized what was happening. Luna wasn't just using her telepathic powers to control machines. She was using her connection with him to bridge the gap between biological intuition and artificial intelligence. Together, they had created something new, a hybrid consciousness that could manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe. The transformation wasn't without cost. Jake felt Luna's life force flowing into the ship's systems, and he knew she was sacrificing herself to save them all. He tried to pull away from the connection, but Luna's will was stronger. Images flashed through his mind. Not memories this time, but visions of what was possible. Ships that could travel between stars and heartbeats. Energy sources that could power entire civilizations. Technologies that could heal the sick and feed the hungry across 1,000 worlds, but first, they had to survive. The pursuing Velrani ships detected the unusual energy signatures and increased their pursuit speed. War Commander Thaxavel studied the readings with growing alarm. The power levels coming from the human ship were beyond anything in Velrani records. "Sir, their energy output is approaching critical mass," his science officer reported. "If those readings are accurate, they're generating enough power to destabilize local spacetime." Thaxavel felt ancient fears stirring in his mind. The old stories spoke of white ones who could bend reality itself, who could turn the void of space into fire and lightning. He had always dismissed these tales as superstition, but the evidence was right in front of him. "All ships, maximum pursuit speed," he ordered. "We must stop them before they reach full power." But it was too late. The Starlight Runner had become something more than a ship. It moved through space like a living creature, its hull glowing with the same blue light that emanated from Luna's paws. The cosmic flames that she and Jake had ignited were spreading throughout the vessel, transforming it into a hybrid of biology and technology. The energy release was so powerful that it registered on sensors across multiple star systems. On distant space stations, researchers detected the unprecedented readings and began emergency protocols. Some thought they were witnessing the birth of a new star. Others recognized the signatures as something far more significant: the first successful merger of organic consciousness with artificial systems. Aboard the Starlight Runner, the crew struggled to understand what was happening to their ship. The walls seemed to pulse with life and the air itself crackled with energy. Systems that had never been connected before began working together in perfect harmony. In the engine room, Jake felt Luna's consciousness beginning to fade. The effort of maintaining the transformation was burning through her life force too quickly. He tried to take some of the burden on himself, but his human mind wasn't designed for the kind of cosmic awareness Luna possessed. "Luna, you have to stop," he whispered, though he knew she could hear his thoughts without words. "You're dying." Her response came as a wave of emotion rather than images. She was scared but also filled with purpose. She had found something in the merger with human technology that her own people had lost long ago: the ability to touch the fundamental forces that shaped the universe. She wasn't just saving them from the Velrani hunters. She was showing them what was possible when different forms of consciousness worked together. Instead of fighting each other, the ship burst out of normal space into a realm where distance and time had different meanings. The pursuing Velrani fleet fell far behind, unable to match the new form of travel that Luna had discovered. But the cost was becoming clear. Luna collapsed beside the console, her white fur flickering with fading blue light. Jake caught her in his arms, feeling her consciousness slipping away from their connection. "Stay with me," he pleaded. "We need you." Luna's crystal blue eyes focused on his face one last time. Through their fading link, she showed him one final vision, not of herself but of the future they had created together. Ships full of humans and aliens working side by side, technologies that healed instead of destroyed, a galaxy where differences were celebrated instead of feared. The cosmic flames that Luna had ignited would burn long after she was gone, lighting the way for others to follow. As the Starlight Runner emerged from its impossible journey into normal space again, the crew realized they had traveled farther in a few hours than most ships could manage in months. They were in a distant sector, far from any Velrani territory. But more importantly, they had proven that the barriers between species, between biological and artificial intelligence, could be overcome. Luna's sacrifice had opened a door to possibilities that neither humans nor Velrani had imagined. The small white creature who had been abandoned to die because she was different had instead become the key to a transformation that would echo across the galaxy for generations to come. 6 months had passed since Luna's transformation of the Starlight Runner. The small white Velrani had not died as Jake feared, but the cosmic awakening had changed her in ways that no one fully understood. She was stronger now, her telepathic abilities enhanced by the permanent connection she had forged with the ship's systems. Jake found her in the observation deck, watching the stars through the large viewport. Her white fur had regained its lustrous shine, and her crystal blue eyes seemed to hold depths that reflected the infinity of space itself. She was larger now, having grown during their travels, but she still preferred to stay close to Jake whenever possible. "The sensors are picking up another distress signal," Jake said, settling down beside her. "Captain Brooks wants to know if you're ready for another rescue mission." Luna turned to him and made the melodic trilling sound that he had learned meant agreement. Over the past months, they had responded to dozens of emergency calls throughout this sector of space. Their enhanced ship capabilities made them uniquely suited for rescue operations that other vessels couldn't handle. But they had discovered that their work was about more than just saving lives. Each rescue mission allowed them to demonstrate the potential of human-alien cooperation. Word was spreading throughout the galaxy about the ship where humans and a telepathic Velrani worked together to achieve impossible things. Captain Brooks entered the observation deck with a datapad in her hands. The distress call is from a mining station in the Kepler system. Solar flares are interfering with their evacuation ships. They have 300 workers trapped with failing life support. Jake felt Luna's immediate response through their mental connection. Images flashed through his mind. The mining station, the solar storm patterns, and a possible solution that involved using their enhanced engines to create a protective energy field. "We can help them," Jake said. "Luna sees a way to shield their evacuation ships from the solar radiation." Brooks nodded. She had long since stopped questioning Luna's abilities. The small Velrani had proven herself dozens of times over, saving lives and solving problems that stumped human experts. Set course for the Kepler system. Maximum speed. As the Starlight Runner accelerated through space, its hull glowing with the familiar blue energy that had become their signature, Jake reflected on how much their lives had changed. They were no longer just a salvage crew trying to make a living in the outer territories. They had become something new, ambassadors for a future where different species could work together. The rescue operation in the Kepler system went smoothly. Luna's abilities allowed them to create an energy shield that protected the evacuation ships from deadly solar radiation. All 300 miners were saved, and news of the rescue spread quickly through the communications networks. But Jake knew their activities had attracted attention from more than just grateful civilians. Intelligence reports suggested that both human and alien governments were taking interest in their ship and its unique capabilities. 2 days after the mining station rescue, they received an unexpected visitor. A sleek diplomatic vessel requested permission to dock, bearing the insignia of the Galactic Council. Captain Brooks granted the request, curious about what the interspecies governing body wanted with them. The visitor who came aboard was unlike anyone Jake had ever seen. She was clearly not human, but her species was unknown to him. Her skin had a silvery sheen and her large eyes seemed to change color depending on the light. When she spoke, her voice carried musical undertones that reminded Jake of Luna's communication sounds. "I am Ambassador Zaranel of the Galactic Council," she said. "I have come to speak with the being known as Luna and her human partner." Jake felt Luna's curiosity through their mental link. The small Velrani approached the ambassador cautiously, her head tilted in the gesture that Jake knew meant she was listening with more than just her ears. "Luna is here," Jake said. "What does the council want with us?" Ambassador Zaranel knelt down to Luna's level, showing respect that surprised Jake. "Young one, your abilities have caught the attention of scientists and philosophers throughout the galaxy. The merger of biological consciousness with artificial systems that you have achieved represents a breakthrough that many species have sought for millennia." Luna made a soft chirping sound and moved closer to the ambassador. Jake felt a strange sensation through their mental link. Luna was communicating directly with Zaranel, sharing thoughts and images in ways that went beyond their usual connection. After several minutes, the ambassador stood with tears in her large eyes. "Remarkable. She has shown me visions of what is possible when species work together instead of fighting, but she has also shown me why her own people rejected her." "The Velrani fear her abilities," Jake said. "They think she's cursed." "Not cursed, evolved. Luna represents what the Velrani were before they chose the path of genetic purity and cultural isolation. Her telepathic abilities are not a mutation, but a return to their ancestral gifts." Dr. Chen, who had been quietly recording the conversation, stepped forward. "Are you saying that all Velrani once had telepathic abilities?" "Indeed. The historical records show that the ancient Velrani were powerful telepaths who could interface with both organic and artificial consciousness. They were among the first species to achieve true symbiosis with their technology. But over time, fear and prejudice led them to suppress these abilities. Those who still carried the genes were cast out or killed." Jake felt Luna's sadness through their connection. She had known that she was different, But now she understood that she represented something her people had deliberately destroyed in themselves. Ambassador Zaranel continued, "The Galactic Council has been monitoring your activities. Your rescue missions and the technologies you have developed together could change the future of interspecies cooperation. We would like to offer you official status as Council representatives." Captain Brooks frowned. "What would that involve?" "You would continue your rescue work, but with Council support and protection. More importantly, you would help establish new protocols for biological artificial integration. Luna's abilities could be the key to developing technologies that benefit all species." Jake looked at Luna, feeling her thoughtful consideration through their mental link. She was weighing the possibilities, seeing potential futures where her gifts could help others instead of making her an outcast. But their conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert from the bridge. Mia's voice came over the intercom. "Captain, we have multiple ships approaching. Velrani configuration." Brooks and Jake rushed to the bridge with Luna close behind. The main screen showed a familiar sight: War Commander Thaxvel's flagship leading a fleet of Velrani warships. But something was different this time. The ships were approaching slowly without powered weapons. "Open a channel," Brooks ordered. Thaxvel appeared on the screen, but he looked different than before. His scarred face was marked with exhaustion, and his eyes held something that might have been regret. "Human vessel," he said, his voice lacking its former aggression. "I request permission to speak with the one you call Luna." Jake felt Luna's surprise through their connection. She moved toward the main screen, her blue eyes fixed on her uncle's image. "Speak," Brooks said simply. Thaxvel's gaze shifted to Luna, and for a moment, his stern expression softened. "Child of my sister's blood, I have pursued you across the galaxy believing you were a curse upon our people. But I have seen the reports of your actions, the lives you have saved, the hope you have brought to others." Luna made a soft sound, and Jake felt complex emotions flowing through their link: pain, forgiveness, and a deep longing for acceptance from her own kind. "I have spent these months studying the old records," Thaxvel continued, "learning about our true history. You are not cursed, young one. You are what we once were before fear made us less than ourselves." The War Commander's next words shocked everyone on the bridge. "I have come to ask your forgiveness, and to request your help." Through Luna's telepathic link, Jake learned the truth. A plague was spreading through Velrani space. A genetic sickness that was weakening their entire species. Their centuries of genetic manipulation and forced evolution had made them vulnerable to diseases that their ancestors could have easily fought off. Luna's natural telepathic abilities and her connection to advanced technology might be the key to finding a cure. But more than that, she represented hope for a future where the Velrani could reclaim their lost heritage. Ambassador Zaranel stepped forward. "War Commander, the Galactic Council is prepared to mediate this situation. If Luna chooses to help her people, she will do so under Council protection." Jake felt Luna's decision through their mental connection before she made any outward sign. She chirped softly and moved toward the communication console. Her paws glowed with blue light as she interfaced with the ship's systems, sending a message directly to the Velrani fleet. Thaxvel's eyes widened as he received Luna's telepathic communication. Tears began flowing down his scarred cheeks. "She forgives us," he whispered. "Despite everything we did to her, she forgives us and offers to help." Over the following weeks, Luna worked with Velrani scientists to develop treatments for the genetic plague. Her unique abilities allowed her to see